3, 2, 1, go. Hello, this is Tom from Star Frontiers Gamer Tabletop Taproom, and we are doing the part 5 in the Star Frontiers Outpost 1 adventure options. And we're going to actually be looking at the adventure idea that actually set me on this path of researching Outpost 1 and compiling just a mini timeline for Outpost 1, what was going to happen with it, based off the Zebulon's Guide timeline. And that adventure is the one, 3, 2, 1, go. And that adventure is the one that was posted in Star Frontiers Facebook group, Star Frontiers Nighthawks Facebook group, concerning the mixing of Cannonball Run with Greatest Beer Run and Dramune Run adventure module into one adventure that would be this whole frontier spanning adventure, culminating at Outpost 1, as similar in scope as the Greatest Beer Run movie, which recently came out. It was a nice movie that wife and I watched one afternoon. So that's what we're doing today is this 5th adventure that spans the whole process. So this would take place during the ground game on Outpost 1. Land fleet has landed there. A lot of army formations are there. A lot of recruits are there. And so that would take place there. And but before we get too deep into it, I just want to say thanks for watching the video. Thanks to my subscribers. You guys are great. And don't forget that like, subscribe, and bell icon. It helps me build the channel. So let's talk about this beer run. It starts out with a Yazirian who wants to bring Yazirian ale to his littermate who's fighting on Outpost 1. Similar to the beer run story where, a guy just wants to bring his 4 friends some beer, let them know that they're not forgotten and that the people back home care. And it's a great story, and it makes me smile to think that this guy was dumb enough to do this, went into a war zone, potentially got shot. I just think it's great. So that's the setup. And you need a small ship that could potentially land on a planet. They need to be able to get into Outpost 1 and land. They need to make the on-site commander think, oh, yeah, they're Star Law or their UPF supply, or they're somebody important, and they kind of get away with this whole thing. I also think that if you're mixing in Smokey and the Bandit, whoever the captain of the ship is, they should be a little bit of a bandit. They should be a little bit of a ne'er-do-well. And this causes some trouble for them along the way. So let's take a look at the beer run itself, the actual run through the stars. And to do that, we should, here we go, look at the map. So I originally thought start out in Athor, and you've got basically 2 routes you can go. You go Athor to Prengular, and you can go north to Cassadine or south to Timian. But in the end, they both have to route through White Light and then go up this versed loop of the frontier, Kitsakar and Kakinkar to Solar Major, and then eventually get the jump route coordinates there, because those are not necessarily readily available. Get the jump route coordinates for Outpost number 1. The southern route is 7 jumps. The northern route is 8 jumps. If it's a small ship that can land on a planet, we're talking about overhauls. Particularly if they're using atomic engines, they probably need to be fast. There's going to be trouble. This is, Smokey and the Bandit. They had a Trans Am clearing out the cops, so the tractor trailer semi could just chug along at a decent speed. Supposedly the Trans Am was good enough to outrun the Popo. So yeah, I think it needs to be a fast ship, but you got to do, this is a lot of jumping, and I think you should try to plan encounters in each one of those systems. And to that end, let me pull up some notes. My first notes here is an inspection well, before I even get there, Smokey and the Bandit. Smokey and the Bandit had they were being chased. They're being chased, and so you had some authority figure, the sheriff. It was very personal, and he was outside his jurisdiction, and he did not really have jurisdiction, but he was still chasing them. So how do you set that up for this? Well, I was thinking that you could have a female character, i.e. like Sally Field in Smokey and the Bandit, who was being forced into an arranged marriage with an upper level echelon authority in the family of one. And she didn't want to go with it. Or her father is an uppity up, and he's, so she's rebelling against that and has fled. And so you would have a somewhat fast ship pursuing them with a representative of the family one, not necessarily the guy at the top, but a family of one inquisitor. Like think Spanish Inquisition, inquisitor, and he's kind of outside his sphere of authority, but he's still pursuing, he's still pushing his weight around and chasing them across space. And sooner or later, somebody's going to get fed up with them and tell them, knock it off. Somebody's who's going to have big enough guns to say, you need to back down. But it creates a nice foil that you could use for this whole adventure, that they can't spend a lot of time in anyone's system. They got to get in, get out. They got to do their overhaul, refuel, and get out and get on to the next jump. So I thought maybe a female figure, maybe she's the captain of the ship. So something along those lines, and then that family of one inquisitor. Now, when you get to the Pregular system, which is a space fleet home base, they got a major academy there to train officers. There's a shipyard there that builds military vessels for space fleet, that you would have an inspection by a space fleet assault scout and a self-important lieutenant. This guy's a 90-day wonder, fresh out of the academy, and he's full of himself, and he's not necessarily listening to anybody else. And he's, he wants to do an inspection on the ship, and he does a little background check, and he sees that the Bandit captain has a little bit of a sketchy background, so he's a bit of a pain in the butt on this inspection. But he doesn't find anything he can jam them up for. Now, so that becomes a whole role play encounter type of thing that would go on in the Pregular system. And you could then have him get orders to report to Outpost 1. So we get to encounter him again in the story very easily. And then at Timian, I wrote a Nighthawks encounter, that there was a Sathar incursion in Timian, and this freighter, this privateer arrives in the middle of it, and the Sathar assume that the freighter or the privateer is logistics for space fleet, so they're going to shoot at it. So you have a Nighthawks battle where you do have, maybe some fighter craft from Timian intervening, and maybe a couple of space fleet assets, and then freighters who are just trying to scramble for their lives, and you drop the PCs on their beer run in the middle of that, and they're getting shot at. That just sounds like a fun time to have a Nighthawks encounter. Timian would be a good place for it. Next on this jump route, I'm going the southern jump route here. You have White Light. Royal Marine inspection is possible. Highly likely, actually. It's a role-play encounter. Maybe there's a Yazirian in the crew, in the Royal Marine crew. And there's a chance for him to aid the PCs if they role-play correctly. If they don't blow it. Kitsakar, there's an emergency. I would work up a table of emergencies. Hold by a micrometeor would be one. It'd be a very minor one. Could be a mayday from another vessel. Things along those lines. But I'd have a hold. So it's going to be different every time. But you have an emergency. Kitsakar would be a good. Kakinkar, I have no idea what to do there for an event, for an encounter. Maybe board a space station, buy some stuff, some role play, resupply. I'm not sure, but certainly, work up something there as well. Solar Major. Variety of role play encounters are possible, but the main challenge here is that the PCs don't have the jump route. It's entirely possible that Yazirian and the Royal Marines might have hooked them up with it. I mean, like, you roll an 01 or an 02 on your personality check, or and so you've got the best result possible. This guy might just hook you up with the jump routes. That would be a possibility, but I would make other options for you to get the jump routes here at Solar Major. And there's a need to get it from the military, or they must plot the jump themselves. So there are a couple of different ways to go, with potential for a picket ship to try to intercept them. There will be picket ships at Solar Major, to intercept them for unauthorized movement in the direction of Outpost 1. Now, Route 2, some encounters. I have a question mark for the potential Cassadine encounter. You would still keep the Prengular encounter with the jumped up, self-important, lieutenant doing an inspection, and he just knows you're a problem, type of thing. Matterly Star, I thought that it would be nice to have an attempt by a mercenary company to commandeer the ship for a journey to... I put in here Outpost 2. I thought that there was an Outpost 2. I hadn't closely checked the map. There's no Outpost 2. But he wants to go to a different location than Outpost 1. So he's looking to hire you, but so this could be a problem. There's a secret megacorp action maybe somewhere. The mercenary company, they're going to cause problems. And once they get on your ship, they might try to take it over. So you could have a serious problem there. I think that the best ship to use for this would be like a Corvette style freighter. There was in Star Frontiersman 17, the Corvette from the Warriors of White Light module got a nice deck plan. And I believe the Raven class Corvette has a barracks for a mercenary company in it. But you could gut that and make it storage space, make it more hull space, more, cargo space. So that would be a potential ship that you could use on this beer run. And it's also possible that they could, hey, we're a freighter. We'd love to carry cargo for you. The military is going to be looking to move cargo and material to Outpost 1. That might be another way, so they get attached to a convoy of freighters that are delivering material and troops and so on and so forth to Outpost 1. So they then show up in Outpost 1. Stuff is happening, maybe minefields. Maybe they encounter a mine that was missed in the mine-sweeping operations. But they eventually have to get down to the planet, and now they're in the backfield of a war. They're in the logistics area, the rear echelon area of a war, and they've got to transport some of this ale out to the unit that the Yazirian's littermate is a member of. Of course, there's going to be complications with that. They're going to get shot at by Sathar. They're going to encounter citizens of the frontier who are working for the Sathar. They're going to encounter the resistance, or whoever the previous inhabitants were who formed a resistance organization. So there's opportunity for combat, there's opportunity for skill checks, there's opportunity for role play to finish out this campaign. And once they have completed their mission and delivered the beer, that's when you have a big balloon goes up of combat. And they've got to fight their way out of it to get back to their ship and then return for their just reward back to Aethor, which will be a long trip. So there should be some fair amount of compensation that happens with this. They got to pay for fuel. They got to pay for overhauls. This is a long way to go, and there's going to be some costs associated with it. So there needs to be some sort of compensation that's going to be good for them. Or you could mix it in with the whole monuments men idea of they somehow trip over and find one of these culturally significant artifacts and they rescue it and bring it back to the frontier. And they're trying to smuggle it back and be like, we are the conquering heroes. So lots of opportunity for this greatest Yazirian ale run meets Smokey and the Bandit meets Dramune Run. Plenty of scope for a whole campaign here with your characters set, with Outpost 1 being the object and the goal. You got to get there, and then you got to transverse the planet and find the person you're looking for and drink a Yazirian ale with him. And that would be a great game, I think. Probably worth writing up and maybe publishing it as a pay what you want module on drive-through. But this is Tom for Tabletop Taproom and Star Frontiers Gamer. Thanks for watching my series. I had a fun time researching this. And so this is part 5 of the adventure options surrounding Outpost 1 in the Second Sathar War. I hope you've enjoyed the series. Please do leave a comment and a like, and keep on gaming. And I will see you out there in the frontier.